Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Laurel Langmeyer.
Hi, this is Laurel, and welcome back to Laurel's Real Money Talks, a podcast where we talk about how to make money, how to keep your money, and strategize your money. I'm going to call that for today's conversation. How to get it invested and how to do it with a team. And I'm usually bringing on great team members and folks for your knowledge and background, and just many of the things that we talk about are alternative wealth strategies. And we're launching our new brand. We're starting a soft launch. It's called the Integrated Wealth Strategies, Integrated Wealth Systems. And it talks about how to integrate your wealth team, just like you would your health team, and needing to hire advocates to be your health team and people around you. That's what we do in our community, is we help get a team around you that aligns the wealth goals that you want. And Amanda Holbrook's with me. She's from Specialized IRA. We love these new joint venture partners because they are very straightforward, quick to work with, and can self-direct your IRA. So with that, Amanda, welcome to Laurel's Real Money Talks.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate the flattering intro, as always.
Well, tell our listeners, because they're from all over the world. And so the way I frame calls that are kind of U.S. based in conversation and vernacular is that wherever you are in the world, there are options like this. So like if you're in Australia, you can self-direct your superannuation. You're in Canada, you can self-direct your RRSP money. So these strategies are worldwide. You just got to find the teammates, and we have a lot of them. We've been in all continents but Antarctica. So if you are listening from a different country and want to find those teammates, again, like all of our podcasts, you go to Ask Laurel, AskLoral.com, and put in your information and make a request there. So, Amanda, start with just tell us, how did you get into this? Is this just something you fell into? Have you loved it? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So originally, dialing back, over 10 years now, I'd started out kind of in the conventional lending industry and saw the writing on the wall and all of that coming. So figured out what peer-to-peer lending was. That always worked with investors. It's always been my niche, with a big, strong backbone in the real estate space, and stumbled upon, hey, a self-directed IRA, we can be private lenders to each other in our retirement accounts. So 10 years later and 6 years on the turnkey investment side, here I am, kind of still preaching the good word about self-directed IRAs and how you can basically take and control your investments versus being at the mercy of somebody else. And it's a vehicle that just lets you invest in what you know. And there's nothing more powerful than that.
So let's start with this. What's the definition of a self-directed IRA? Because if folks are listening, they go down to Fidelity or Schwab, a traditional house, I'll call it. They're going to say, yes, we self-direct. So what's the difference between those houses saying we self-direct versus our conversation?
I love that, Laurel, because it's almost like true false advertising right here, because that's not true self-direction. True self-direction is not just being limited to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, but you can invest in that tax-sheltered accounts with IRA, 401k, et cetera, into the non-traditional space. So those big houses, when they say self-directed, Laurel, they're talking about you get to pick your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds yourself. And that is not, listeners, that is not the true definition of a self-directed IRA. Self-directed IRA means you can do everything outside of that little sandbox of toys. And you can get into real estate, private lending, oil and gas, you name it. So that is a simplified definition of what a self-directed IRA is. Same rules and regs for your accounts over at those, the big box shops, as we call them. And it's just you have a lot more creative opportunities to go get double-digit returns on your money.
So a lot of people hear this and they'll think, well, that's for entrepreneurs or wealthy people. Talk about who needs it. Because, my conversations, I think any child needs it. They need a Roth. And maybe start talking about the different kinds of accounts and who needs what kind of accounts.
Absolutely. So it is not for the ultra wealthy guys. For here in the States, you simply have a Social Security number and earned income you can have a Roth IRA. You can have a traditional self-directed IRA. So the questions we get all the time is, okay, what counts can I self-direct? And how do I take what I already have and move it to a self-directed IRA? And so for a majority of you out there, you switch jobs. So you have an old employer's 401k. That's an easy one to move over to a self-directed account. Roth IRAs, health savings accounts. We all have health insurance. You can self-direct those. Covered educational savings accounts for the kids. Roth IRAs for the kids. I mean, a Roth IRA, guys, is a little nugget. Pay the tax on the seed and not the crop. So not only should mom and dad and everybody in your family have them, but you need to get that started for your kids. That's how we build the trust fund babies of tomorrow. But the whole point of all of this that we're just discussing is to get the money off of Wall Street and back onto Main Street by investing in what you know through these vehicles. And that's what we do at Specialized, and we make it simple.
So let's kind of break them down one by one. So obviously, I'm near and dear, as our charity is, to financial literacy for teenagers and kids. Talk about the Roth and how the parents that are listening, why they should do it. And, you and my belief is the minute they're born, let's get them going. And just the qualifications, being a W-2, how do they get a Roth and how would they get that started? And then we'll just keep kind of going through a variety of the instruments and opportunities.
Sure. So let's talk about a Roth for your kids. Okay. A lot of you listening are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. If you have a child, we'll say, let's get them started right out the womb, Laura. So you have that beautiful little baby. Do you always go get pictures of that beautiful little baby? Absolutely. So why not get professional pictures done through your company and give them a 1099 that just happens to equal the contribution limit to a Roth IRA, which is $5,500 for this year. Okay, so that's how you get a kid a Roth IRA. Now, why the heck would you want to do that? Because let's say, take that $5,500. That is the seed. Okay, let's say we haven't added another dime to that account and it grows, say 10% until they're 59 and a half. You have over $2.5 million of tax-free income for your child by taking that one action step today. And that's not even continuing the action steps. So that's a very vacuum tube example of how you can take action today to set up your children and monumentally for tomorrow. So that's why everyone should have a Roth IRA. And I preach to the cows come home on that one. If you're opening up an account with us, that's like your bonus. You get a Roth IRA too. Like, you have to do that as well.
So let's start with the easy ones, because majority of people probably, like myself, I worked at Chevron for a while, so I had a 401k. How do people that have worked for other places that have those 401ks, I always say they leave them behind, right? Hoping that the company they worked for that they left for whatever reason is going to take care of it, which we would say they won't. So why self-direct the 401ks and how does that work? And then we'll talk about solo Ks.
Sure. So how do you move that? It's a simple 3 steps. Okay. You decide, deposit, direct. We make it super simple. So an application, and then our team here in Albuquerque, we take care of moving the funds from your old 401k provider to your new self-directed. In that case, would likely be a traditional IRA, and maybe a Roth if you had a Roth component in your prior 401k with your previous employer. But once that's done, okay, you've decided, you've deposited the funds. Now it's the fun part. Now you just go pick an investment. Non-traditional investment. We're a passive custodian. We don't recommend or endorse any specific investment or investment sponsor. We are not CPAs. We are not attorneys. So it's completely up to you. But to get that started, I think that's one of the fallacies, Laurel. It's like, how do I do this? This paperwork. I haven't heard about this before. So, oh my gosh, it must be complicated. No, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's so simple. A child can do it. Literally, because kids have accounts here.
And then let's talk about the tax consequences. As long as you keep the vehicle the same and in a qualified form and you're not cashing it, there's no tax consequences. I think a lot of people misunderstand that when we say self-direct, you're not creating a tax consequence in that transfer. So speak to that a little, and then let's go into the solo 401ks, which for those entrepreneurs out there, this is a must-have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the Mac Daddy of accounts. So, guys, to simplify that, your old employer's 401k, think of your tax shelter, the tax environment, as a parking garage. That's a tax-deferred parking garage, okay, where you've got your account parked. You're just doing a lateral move over to a self-directed tax-deferred parking garage. That's it. The lateral move, there's no tax consequences, there's no penalty because you're going from like environment to like environment. Same rules, same contribution limits. The difference is what self-directed means is that you're not limited to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds anymore. You have the whole world of opportunity at your feet in a self-directed account. Does that make sense, Laurel?
Absolutely. And I think the other continues to the Mac Daddy of it. Actually, I want to talk about one more tax question. So
Sure.
There's a lot of folks that are headed towards their minimum required distribution. So speak to those folks. A lot of times, like we'll have somebody, I just had somebody join our big table, 67 years old. What do they do at that age? So maybe as folks reach certain limits, to kind of speak to them what makes sense from a tax perspective and then a distribution perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that are nearing retirement age, which, by definition is 59 and a half, and what Laurel's referring to is RMD, which is 70 and a half, Uncle Sam's basically going to knock on your door and say, hey, sorry, too bad, so sad. You have to start taking money out of that tax deferred account. That's where the tax-free accounts, the Roth, really come into the saving grace of your plan and tax diversification. And if you don't have a Roth and you're nearing that age, don't go kick yourself in the pants. It's only been around since 97. Okay, maybe kick yourself in the pants a little, but it's not too late. And it's not too late to have tax diversification in your portfolio so that, guess what, the tax-free Roth, guys, there's no RMD. Uncle Sam already had your piece of the pie at the beginning, so he's not going to ask for it now. And that's a huge estate planning tool too. So when you leave that to your children's children, it's a tax-free account forever. So it's very important that you're grasping the difference of these two environments. Just like you said earlier, Laurel, the first part of the money talk is, how do you earn it? And the second part is how do you keep it? Guys, this is a big piece of how you keep it.
Huge piece. Now let's go to the big Mac Daddy, right? So entrepreneurs, just like when you have a job, you have a 401k. When you're an entrepreneur with a company, you can have a solo 401k. So I'll let you elaborate on that one, which is, I think you call it the Mac Daddy, which I agree.
Yeah, Mac Daddy accounts. So the Roth Solo 401k. So for everyone out there that's self-employed, no W-2 employees, this is the account you better have. And you can put up to, so you have, I just got done preaching about tax environments, right? You have both tax environments in one plan. Okay. So instead of just the 5,500 or 6,500, which you can put in a Roth IRA, which you can do in addition to this plan, by the way, you can put up to 36,000 into the tax deferred portion and 18,500 into the tax free portion. Let me repeat that. 18,500 into the tax free portion. If you're over 50, that's 24,500. You get a catch up. So that's over 3 to 4 times the Roth IRA contribution limit of you can getting tax-free money into this plan. Oh, and by the way, that 36, that's tax deferred. So will that help your bottom line and your business when you go to tax filing? Abso-freaking-lutely. As an entrepreneur, do you want more write-offs or do you want more write-offs? No, yes or yes. And it's a no-brainer. Other big advantages of the Roth. This is why I love this. Because I always have to talk about retirement accounts, and it's so delayed gratification, Laurel, in an instant gratification world. Many don't know that you can have zero cost capital. Who doesn't like zero cost capital, right? You can take 50% or $50,000 loan against this, pay yourself back with interest, and it's restriction free. So if you wanted to take that loan and invest in your own education, have more capital in your business to work with, or make an investment so that you're getting some returns outside of the retirement account today versus in retirement tomorrow. These are all beautiful things about the Roth Solo 401k that an IRA couldn't provide you. So if that doesn't say Mac Daddy of accounts, I don't know what does, because there's more benefits than just that. But those are the big ones, guys. And you're going to grow them the same way you're growing your other self-directed accounts by doing the exact same strategies.
Exactly. Now let's talk about, there's so many places to go. Let's talk about some of the transactions, right? So they're going to contact you. We're going to give them some goodies at the end of our podcast, and they'll set up an account. Now they're going to move their money. Then what? Talk about some of the deals. Now, we have access to a lot of deals through our community, especially our big table community. But I think the assets that you can direct gas and oil, real estate for cannabis, franchise, gold, silver, cattle. Like there's so many cool assets you can buy. So talk about the kinds of assets and then walk us through like a typical take an easy real estate transaction and walk through how these things work.
Sure. So, I mean, it's overly simplified, and you listed some great ones there, Laurel, and that you guys have in the Big Table community. It's just awesome. If you could put that tangible asset, let's say, as real estate, compared to a stock bond or mutual fund that you have no control over, how could you lose? It's a tangible investment. It'll never be a zero to asset, and it's insured, for crying out loud, into the tax sheltered account. So if you're weighing asset class to asset class, which is, this is what we're talking about, I think real estate and the tangible investments win every time. So how is that done? Is it more complicated? I mean, majority of the listeners here have at least purchased a property, even if it was their own home. Okay. So I'm going to let you in on a little ninja tip. It's all in the titling. That's it. So once you open your account, you deposit the funds in there. Now it's time to do a deal. You do it in the name of your IRA. So Laurel, instead of your name, it's going to be Specialized IRA Services for benefit of Laurel Langmeyer, IRA. And that's going to go, we'll use a rental property, for example. It's a clean, easy one. That's going to go on the purchase contract, the title, the deed, the insurance policy, the property management agreement. Okay. All expenses are going to come from that account, and all profits go back to that account. Super simple. Super simple. The same thing with the note. If you want to be a private lender, you as the lender, you're playing the bank from your self-directed account. The titling on that note is your self-directed IRA, Specialized IRA Services for benefit of your IRA. So you lend the funds out. Now, when they sell the asset that's collateralizing that, or even if it's uncollateralized, when that money comes back to the account, it's not being made payable to you personally. It's being made payable to your account. And that's how it grows tax-free or tax-deferred. So in the Roth, it's growing tax-free month after month after month. So whether we're talking rental income or percentage returns on a private lending deal, that's all growing compoundingly, by the way, tax sheltered, tax-free month after month after month. So just like you're used to seeing stock dividends go back into your account and you don't file anything for those, that's the same way that this works in the non-traditional space. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful. What are the things they can't do? I know there's some restrictions. What are things that can't occur inside these vehicles?
Sure. So there's some black and white ones with the IRS. So Internal Revenue Code 4975, if you want to fact check me. But some life insurance policies, a stock of a subchapter S Corp, things like artwork, collectibles, and some things that can be left up into a gray area. Collectible. Is a 57 Chevy a collectible? To somebody it might be. So there's some black and whites. The other one, the big one, Laurel, is who you do business with. So number one, being yourself, no self-dealing. You can't go ahead and fund your business 100% from a Roth IRA, or say you have a cash cow of a commercial building. You can't go purchase that from yourself in your IRA because you're benefiting outside of the retirement account in the here and now. And then lastly, there's some family members. There's some family members that are not included, and there's some family members that don't matter. So your spouse and above you, below you on your family tree, off limits. We're not doing deals with them when it comes to your self-directed accounts. Okay? So just remember that. Everyone listening did that project in school at some point. You drew out your family tree. If they're above you or below you, off limits. But if they branch out to the left or right, all good. So they're all good. Aunts, uncles, nieces, cousins, nephews, they're all safe to do business with within your self-directed IRA.
Awesome. I love it. So talk about the team. We're a huge integrated team. I say everybody stays in their lane. We have an entity specialist, tax specialist, your IRA specialist team. Talk about the power of a team. And I'm going to kind of weave this in. There's not a lot of companies that do what you do. We've been through a variety that in principle do what you do, but you guys are efficient, you're fast, you've got great customer service. Talk about some of the team criteria. What should people be looking for, right? And
Absolutely.
Why you guys is fast.
can't touch this. No, I won't do that. And I think that the great reason of the strength of our team, and you're only as strong as your team. I mean, we fully believe that. That's how we built the foundation of specialized IRA services. And I think one of the core things, Laurel, is we're not gurus, we're doers, if you will, meaning we practice what we preach. So we know what you're going through. And it boils down to beyond investments and accounts and tax strategies and all that, but it boils down to the basic principle of we believe in our heart of hearts that everyone deserves to live a life that they love. And I think that's a basic human want for, everyone on the planet. Is just financial freedom makes it that much easier to attain. So that's why and how we do what we do. And we differentiate ourselves, or the diff is we do that through service, through giving back, through the education, through working with teams like yours to make sure that our clients know that, hey, you're not just another number, you're not just another account. We have a vested interest in seeing your success. So much to the point we've even pioneered in our industry something called specialized platinum, where, we include the whole family of accounts, where investing is a family sport. We already covered that. So that's a huge piece. And we couple that with education, unlimited transactions, unlimited access to our education bank, and more. So when I say that we're innovators, and Laurel, I have to tip my hat to you, because you and your team are beyond innovative, creative, but you guys execute. It's not just knowledge. Knowledge doesn't make you successful, but education or execution leads to the results that leads to the success. I think we all kind of drink from that cup of Kool-Aid, if you will. So that's what kind of makes the difference in the synergy that you see. So if you're out there shopping a self-directed custodian or provider, the things you need to look for is the experience behind the table. Are they reading from a script, or do they actually know what the heck they're talking about? Because this is important. This is your nest egg. You want to make sure that, hey, you're dealing with a custodian. We're a full licensed custodian in the state of New Mexico. You need to understand the fees. You have nickel and dime transactional fees and you're doing deals, it's going to get very expensive. That's where all-inclusive capped flat rate is definitely the way to go when it comes to transactional fees.
So go back and just explain a little more detail on those specifically, because it's such an undercurrent. People kind of hear it and then don't realize it until they have to write a check. So just detail that.
Yeah.
Comparison to like other companies, right?
Absolutely. So here's the real deal, guys. When you're searching for a self-directed provider, you're going to see fees in 3 areas. Okay. You will see setup, annual, and then you will see transactional fees. And the setup and the annual are par for the course. That's basically how they keep the lights on. In self-directed IRAs, unlike Wall Street, there's no back end or anything like that. So it's very, compared to like the 7% that you pay on an average $100,000 account, the self-directed IRA world's more like 1% to 2% because it's transparent. The fees, though, this is where historically our industry nickels and dimes you to death, where they really kind of get over on the client, if you will. That's what you have to be careful of. So what's a self-directed account? Okay, so you had a rental property. You have the buy, you have document handling, you have document signing, wires, you have overnights, you have check fees, you have document review, you had a repair, that's another fee. Some will charge just for doing real estate specifically. So all of those fees really add up. So be cautious of dangling the carrot of that low starter fee. So what we did, we flipped that on its head. And we said, you know what, forget that. We want clients for a long time. And all of you that are business owners, you get that. It costs more to gain a new client than to keep a current one happy. So for $250 flat per year, you have unlimited buy-sell transactions. Heck, we even throw in 5 wires and 4 overnights for that. And that's $480 a hard cost right there for $250 flat. So if that's not saying we don't practice what we preach, I don't know what is, because that's a dollars and cents fact.
Absolutely. So what else do we need to know? And talk a little bit about the gifts you're going to give us.
Sure. So, kind of in closing, it's just a matter of, for self-direction, it's whether you want to dip your toe in with one account or get the whole family on board and, go for specialized platinum, et cetera, take action. So it's 3 simple steps. You decide, you deposit direct. So how the heck do you do that? So that goes to our gift. So I'm a big giver. you earn, you grow, and you give back. And we give back a lot through education. So I have in the show notes here, we're going to give away a copy of our Field Guide to Financial Freedom. It's a beautiful roadmap. It's very visually appealing. It's not like reading the Internal Revenue Code, guys. A great little talking piece to explain this to like a spouse or a business partner, or even your kids could follow it. So that I'm going to be giving to you, as well as, like I said, I'm a guru, not a guru. So I make myself available to be part of your team, just like I do for all of Laurel's team, as well as the Big Table participants as well. You'll have a direct link to my calendar. So it's just a matter of syncing time. And I'm glad to help you, just like I've helped countless of other clients take action and get their family portfolios on track with self-direction.
Awesome. So, Amanda, it's been great to be with you again. All of you that want to know more about Amanda Specialized IRA, have a private appointment with either Amanda or somebody at the team, go to AskLoral, AskLoral.com. And there you put in your name, your phone number, your email, and then make a request or ask a question. And we use that to facilitate our conversations and get you where you need to get to. And Amanda, it's been great having you. Look forward to seeing you next week in Salt Lake City. And those of you who are with us, they're at all of our 3-day off Wall Street asset shows. They're part of our integrated wealth team, and they're part of our big table. So you will see and meet them along our journeys as long as you come out and meet us. Amanda, anything else for today?
No, just a thank you from woman to womanpreneur. I love it and love working with you and your team, and appreciate everyone listening here. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to share today. Thanks, Laura.
Awesome. Thank you. Absolutely. And those of you that are listening, again, this is Real Money Talks. So it's a podcast that talks about money in every classification. So if you're enjoying the podcast, please let your friends, family know, pass on the podcast, as well as have them downloaded at iTunes or one of the app stores. And just go to the Laurel's Real Money Talks, and you'll also see an Ask Laurel app up there. So download that as well so you can stay in communication. Talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Laurel Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Laurel's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Laurel? Visit AskLaurel.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.